All right, what up, fam? I'm on the, I don't know, A side, B side. I'm on the middle side, in between side of this walk. I'm not doing a turn around and back. I'm doing a loop. So I guess I'm getting close to the halfway point. So this thought has been in my head for a while now. I'm thinking about race, political correctness. I'm thinking about wokeism, whatever the hell you want to say. So I've had this conversation with multiple friends. I would say probably about like 8 or 9 friends. 2 of them are white women. The rest of those friends would be white men. It's a conversation on those topics we talked about, right? All these friends that I'm mentioning were also not just conservative, because I have plenty of conservative friends, but they were Trumpers, right? Some of them, a lot of them, voted for homeboy twice. Okay. I've also broached this subject in a multicultural counseling course 2 times. I said 2 times. 2 times, right? Multicultural counseling course is typically the most radical course in a master's level multicultural program. Usually you're gonna have one for a PhD program as well, like the one I'm in. And that's just gonna happen. You're gonna have that. Those courses are also probably banned in Florida for a multitude of reasons, but they are a requirement from CACREP, was the accrediting body for counseling in the US. It's not nationalized to the point where all schools who offer counseling programs are CACREP, but the majority of them are. If you want that CACREP accreditation, part of this is a social justice requirement. If you want to be a licensed counselor, the American Counseling Association, our code of ethics, it has diversity, multicultural competencies, a dedication to social justice as part of the ethical requirements of this profession. So if you're a certified counselor, you're a licensed counselor, you have a responsibility to do no harm to your clients, to operate in their best interests, to carry out and be concerned about social justice and have multicultural competencies, right? And you will also have to get continuing education credits showing that you were continuing to learn about this. So this is serious, right? I'm saying all that because I want you to understand that this is not just, oh, we need people to feel uncomfortable, right? There's a reason for this. You're sitting down and you're working with people. I hear some of the most intimate conversations that people have with no one else in their life, right? So there's a great deal of vulnerability clients are extending in that counseling, that client-counselor relationship. There is also a great deal of abuse and of abuse and manipulation of power that can happen in a counselor-client relationship, right? So we have to safeguard our clients against this by looking inward and understanding ourselves. That doesn't mean that every counselor is perfect and amazing. I am not. I will quickly make that acknowledgement. I will mess up. Most of the time I will own it when I mess up. My clients will tell you that I'm pretty empathetic. I'm pretty compassionate. I can be firm when I need to be. And I'm open-minded. I learn a lot of new things and I seek to understand. But I'm a human. I got my baggage. I got my issues. I got my things that I work through. So anyway, this conversation, right? Talking to these friends of mine, we're having a conversation about race and stuff. It usually pops up because they're talking about, man, the world's just changed so much, Wes. It's just changed, man. I don't know. You know, I was a kid. I used to be able to go around and call anybody N-word that I wanted. Right? They didn't say that, right? But that's kind of the feeling that it has. Now, these are people who I disagree with on a lot of very pertinent social and political issues. These are also people I met earlier in my life that were nice to me, that were kind to me. I saw a gentleness and a kindness and a compassion in them. And then I didn't see that shared in other areas of their life. So they trusted me, partly probably because of my proximity to whiteness growing up and level of socioeconomic privilege I've had growing up, and they can hear that and see that in my presentation, so they feel a little bit more comfortable. It's not a good thing. I'm not saying that because I'm proud. I'm saying that because I'm trying to break it down, right? But what happens is they're like, man, things are just too PC now. They're just too PC now, Wes. I just don't know. I'm giving everyone a Southern accent, but you got to understand, I'm Southern, y'all, and I'm proudly Southern. And this whole damn country is racist, not just the South, okay? So I'm not clowning Southern folks. I am Southern. These conversations typically are with other Southern folks, because that's where I am, but not always, okay? So anyway, these are like, most of them, two-time Trump voters complaining about how things have changed compared to how they grew up, talking about this experience they've had where things are just too politically correct. And so I challenge them on this, as I do in my master's level multicultural classes when I'm teaching them. I challenge them on this. I'm like, I just don't get it. Because all these people I'm talking to are Christian. It's like, I'm Christian too. Like, we both share our faith. I'm not really an evangelical. I'm not evangelical, but I'm Christian. That's my faith. I believe it. But in our faith, we believe that we have an inherent good nature to us because God had designed us after God, right? But we also have this sinful flesh nature too. And we don't have any issue saying, yeah, we're sinners, man. We're partly of the flesh. Is racism a sin? Yes. Is sexism a sin? Yes. Right? Bigotry is a sin. But we find it really hard to be like, yeah, I'm sexist. Yeah, I'm racist. Yeah, I'm working on it. But we can really easily say, yeah, I'm a sinner, man, but I'm trying to get better. Why is that? Why is that? Yeah, all right, sit on that. So then I go deeper. Look, I'm a cisgender, heterosexual man. I'm a cishet man, cishet black man here in the US. And I think it's impossible to grow up as any man in this country, but specifically a cishet man and not be sexist. I am sexist. I do not like that I am sexist, but I understand it's impossible for me not to be. I think it's impossible for any cishet man in the US to not be, especially if you were born anytime around when I was, in 82, definitely before, right? Including now. It's in the water we breathe. It's in the air. It's a part of our system. Look up Brofenbrenner's ecological systems theory. It's part of the system that we're in. We're always in an ecosystem, right? So we grow up with this locker room talk. We grow up with this perspective of looking at women as conquests, of thinking that women should think and act more like us because we as men are the default, right? So I had some women tell me that I was doing some sexist stuff in my life when I was in my teens, my 20s, sometimes in my 30s. And I listened to it most of the time, maybe 60% of the time, depending on who it was. And I read. When I got into a master's program, I got to learn a lot more about these things, and I kept going. I would be sexist for the entirety of my life. I don't say that with pride. I say that because it's an acknowledgement that there's not a destination that I get to where I'm not sexist. There's a destination of death. And at that point of death, I hope that I will be the least sexist I could possibly be in my life. I'm sexist. Why can't you admit that you're racist? They don't like it. So one of my homeboys, again, white dude I met, good guy, man. Two-time Trump voter, PC, all this stuff. I don't know, Wes, I just feel like that word's just so harsh, man. I understand what you're saying. That makes sense. Yeah, I definitely agree with the sexism thing. They always agree with the sexism thing. They never agree with the racism thing. They can see the logic, right? I agree with the sexism. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just that word. It seems so harsh. So wait a minute. You're telling me that word racism, it it makes you feel uncomfortable. It makes you feel attacked, and it's painful for you. And you would like someone to use a different word that takes into account your identity and maybe some things that you struggle with. Yeah, man, it's just something about that word. It's just too harsh. So what's the difference between that and your complaints with political correctness? Yeah, right. There was a lot of awkward silence, or people just going to a different topic that didn't really make sense, right? I feel that there's this thing, okay, that I'm just gonna say real quickly. In Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail, he says the biggest threat in America is not the racist Ku Klux Klaner, racist councilman, all this stuff. It's the moderate white person. And here's why I firmly agree with that. Kind of like sleeper cells in the US, waiting to be activated for the right combination of words that invoke your energy, your sensibilities against infringements on your justice and liberty, i.e. whiteness, okay? Infringements on your whiteness, okay? And so I would say probably about 20% white folks in the US are just in this space of, they don't care. They're racist, they're overtly racist. We see them every once in a while. I've seen some documentaries, there's some more elite educated folks yeah, why should I think we're equal? I respect that. I don't agree with it, but I respect it because they understand what they think and they're just being truthful about it. It's wrong, it's horrible, but it's honest. Then you got another 20% of white folks who are like the John Browns of the world. Man, they out here fighting. Westside, man, I put my own uncle down. The revolution came about and he was doing some racist crap. I know some white folks like that. I love them. I love you. Y'all white folks like that. Woo! And there's always been white folks like that throughout the history of the US. Racism, white supremacy, capitalism, it erases those stories for you. It erases the stories of thousands of white people in the 1700s, 1800s, even early 1900s, and now, who fought, not in a performative way, literally fought on the lines against racial injustices with black and brown folks. That's a fact. But y'all don't know that history because you got people like DeSantis trying to take it away, right? Throughout the history of the US, okay? But the people that we lionize in the culture tend to be the people who are bigoted, right? And as things progress, the more covertly bigoted, okay? So there's that whole thing. All right, so Wes, what you're saying is there's a bell curve and there's 20% on one end, 20% on another end, but at least 60% in the middle. That 60% is the position that sounds like this. Well, I don't know, maybe we need to gather all the facts of the situation. I'm all for gathering facts, but be honest that you have a bias, right? Maybe you can say, I feel that this is wrong. I think this seems like discrimination, and it probably is. I do want to wait till I see everything, but I also know that this is additionally racist because this person of color, this black person, whoever felt like X, right? That's a different statement than just saying, yeah, nah, I don't know, man. Yeah, it seemed like that black fella that got shot by the cops might have, I don't know, did he really need to reach that hard? I don't know. It's this idea that there is always objectivity, right? Objectivity is a myth. Cannot achieve objectivity. You can achieve less subjectivity, but you cannot achieve objectivity. And objectivity is a moving target in society. There are things that we all agree are bad, things we all agree are good. There's things that we debate about, and there's things that we're like, nah, that's definitely wrong, right? Like you look at the news, you don't see a pro-murder argument, right? okay? But we talk about the news. At one point in time in the 1800s, yeah, you had people in publications proudly talking about lynching black folks, right? That has moved into the sphere of deviance, which is literally what it's called. This is a theory called Holland spheres, HALLIN apostrophe S, Holland spheres. It's a really good theory about objectivity, but it is a long video. The point is, this is a really important aspect of metacognition, of thinking a little bit deeper. These are things I talk about a lot. Thinking about our thinking. If you're not spending the time to really just sit down and critically think, you're not unpacking your biases. So look, we all live on this rock, hurling through the universe together. It would probably make sense that we figure out how to live on this thing without destroying ourselves, because this planet will continue. We will not. I'm gonna cut this right here because I could keep talking for a while and teach a whole class on this. But I want that to seep in, because I know that there's other people out here who've had similar conversations. And I know that there's people out here who've been on both sides of those conversations. And there's other perspectives I haven't thought of. Whew. I like that one. All right. I'm gonna keep walking so I can keep having these thoughts, because I need it. Need to improve my thinking. We all do. Keep walking.